This is my journey.
Well, welcome back. In this segment, I want to tackle one of the biggest pieces of the whole stress puzzle. It's that component that you're going to find at the core of much of your anxiety. It's the stuff you can't control. I once heard someone define insecurity as investing your security in something that could be taken from you. That's a pretty good statement if you think about it. For example, a lot of people are stressed out over their financial situations. Maybe they've gotten themselves too deeply into debt, or they build a lifestyle dependent on a level of income that they're afraid they might be losing. Given all the possible pitfalls one faces when trying to make it financially, and you can find a serious source of stress. Now, I'm certainly not going to propose that you dump your stocks, sell your house, and hobo your way through life. But you may need to rethink your current strategy for happiness. I mean, they say that money can't buy happiness, and still we keep trying. And maybe it's not so much what money can or can't do as much as how hard it is to hold on to whatever happiness money does buy. Frankly, there are so many things that can happen to your stuff. Most of them are things you can't control. That same reality hits your relationships too. I mean, you can do your absolute best and adjust to the needs of your boss, your spouse, your kids, your parents, your neighbors, even your dog. But you can't control the other side of the relationship. Sometimes good effort is rewarded with unkindness or unfairness. And you find a relationship you've given your best hanging by a thread because the other person isn't returning what you're giving. That may be the hardest part of stress, is the anxiety that comes from what you can't control. One thing I've learned is that the more you try to control what you can't control, the more stressful your world becomes. It's like I'm trying to carry things that aren't really in my hands. The result looks pretty awkward, I'm sure. Well, this kind of stress can come from any heavy situation that has crashed into your life. Maybe a loved one has just received an ominous diagnosis. You know what? That's stressful. But the stress will grow even greater for both of you if you're trying to fix what you can't fix. Now, trying to solve the problem may seem like the natural thing to do, but the solution, if it's not in your power, this kind of anxiety leads to many other problems, doesn't it? Sometimes the internal panic we feel just won't let us rest, and we end up weaker and weaker for what might be a moment that calls for our greatest strength. Some people end up spending all their strength on the part of their circumstances that they can't control and end up having nothing left for the areas where they could really contribute to the need. For example, if your boss isn't responding to you like you hope, you can let the stress build up until you interpret and overinterpret every movement your boss makes. Even his casual good morning sounds gruff and sends you into a few hours of fearing the end is near. Wouldn't it be better to spend those same hours and that same energy doing some quality work? After all, you can't control what your boss is thinking, but you can control what you're doing. And doing something productive could actually help you change the boss's mind, or at least pad your resume for the next opportunity. I guess what I'm saying is to take a look at what part of your stress might be flowing from what you can't control. One good strategy would be to take those same moments and invest them in what you can control. Now, don't get me wrong, there's much more to it than that, but maybe your stress gets a little more manageable by eliminating as much of this insecurity as possible. It's not the whole plan. It's not even the most popular. Down your stress into what you can control and what you can't is a very good strategy. I've got even more to tell you just ahead. Next time in part 5, I want to show you a strategy that doesn't work. You'll want to hear this because it's probably the most common strategy people